Well, yeah, I am definitely not an expert in Hinduism or in any of the religions, I guess, in India. Um, but being there, yeah, I got a pretty good perspective, I guess, on the people themselves. It always impressed me how devout a lot of the people are, how dedicated they are to their religion. Um, in all the cases, um, I definitely learned a lot about um, having who you are be completely shaped by your religion, and by what you believe. I I remember especially with Hinduism, just being amazed at I don't know, the depth of their understanding, I guess, with their religion, but also with how understanding they were about other religions. Um, I think that in most cases, as we would share with people, they would always respond with respect and with openness. They would always, um, be incredibly complimentary when we shared about Jesus Christ, or even as we taught about Joseph Smith. They would be open to hearing about it and um, to just, I don't know, being welcoming about it. Even if they didn't believe it and have faith in it themselves, they would always say, that's your beliefs, and I'll respect that. That was something that always really impressed me. Um, as far as things I learned about Hinduism, they have, man, I don't want to get the number wrong, but they say something like 30 lakh gods, which a lakh is 100,000. So 30, 100,000 gods. So I don't know, 30 million gods, 3 million gods. They have a lot. There's a God for everything. And this is with Hinduism especially. They take their festivals so, I shouldn't say seriously, because they have so much fun, but they take their festivals so seriously. When they're celebrating about their religion, when they're celebrating about one of the gods, then it is a citywide thing. It's a massive effort that goes into celebrating these festivals, and they put so much work and time and effort into having these incredible experiences, celebrating a day for one of their gods they believe in, or celebrating just what that God stands for, celebrating victory of light over darkness, or of rebirth and color and newness of life and all that kind of stuff. They really do, I don't know, they really do have a lot of joy when they celebrate those festivals. And that was something I enjoyed being invited to be a part of at times. That's something I enjoyed watching and witnessing, especially with Holi and Diwali, and all kinds of other festivals that they have. Well, I mean, in Hinduism, yeah, they kind of have the big three as far as gods go of Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva, who are kind of major gods, I guess, so to speak. And they were all involved in the creation and all kinds of stuff like that. So they're very well known and celebrated, as well as their different avatars that they've had and the stories and legends that come with them. Probably one of my favorite stories from Hinduism is probably about Hanuman. And Hanuman's one of their gods, and he, although I I don't think he's really worshipped as much as he is honored and respected for his loyalty, because he was loyal to one of the other gods. He basically became a servant for one of them, and so he's looked up to for that. But I guess part of his story goes that this god who he looked up to, Ram, or the incarnation of one of the gods, if I remember correctly, he became sick. He was dying, and there was a flower that was needed to save his life. And Hanuman, being the courageous, loyal follower that he was, decided that he would do whatever it takes to find that flower to save his life. So as the story goes, Hanuman had all these incredible powers of super strength and being able to fly and all these things, but he didn't know about them. He hadn't learned that he had those powers yet. And so it took this quest that he had to save Ram to figure out all the abilities, all the things he could do. It talks about him flying over, this huge ocean and defeating a sea monster, and doing everything he could to find the place where the flower was. And when he came to the mountain where the flower was, he searched and searched and couldn't find it. And so what he ended up doing is he could grow or shrink himself. And so he grew to an incredible size and lifted the mountain up in one hand, and he flew with the mountain all the way back across the ocean in order to be able to find the flower and give it to Ram once he was there. So that was one of my favorite stories. I don't know how accurately I rendered it, but I loved that story. That was one of my favorites. Just his devotion and his willingness to do whatever it takes to serve the God he loved.